Today I want to talk about something that might ruffle a few feathers. Or maybe it'll finally settle something you've been thinking about all along. Here it is. BDSM relationships require more honesty than vanilla ones. I said it. Not just a little more, a lot more honesty. All right, look, that's not a dig on vanilla relationships. I was a vanilla much longer than I've been a kinkster, so it's just the nature of what we're doing inside a DS or MS dynamic. We're not just playing with roles and rubbing up against fantasies, we're playing with power. We're playing with surrender, even with our own identity, with pleasure and pain, the very core of everything that we are. So if you don't have honesty as the foundation of all that, then I'm sorry to say, you don't have a dynamic. You have a lie wrapped in a facade of control. So let's talk about it. Power without honesty is abuse waiting to happen. Let's just call it what it is. If you're stepping into a power exchange relationship on either side of the slash, you are stepping into a sacred contract, and that contract hinges on clarity. If I, as a dominant, don't know the full truth of what a submissive desires, fears, or can consent to, then I'm leading blind. If a sub doesn't know what kind of man I really am, how I hold authority, what I expect, where my shadows are, she's not submitting, she's gambling, and vice versa. You can't play in the deep end of power without having honest conversations about emotional triggers, sexual boundaries, trauma history, spiritual beliefs, lifestyle compatibility, intentions for the relationship. If you don't be honest about these things, you aren't creating a container for them, you're creating a weapon against them. There's no room for performance in true power exchange. You can fake a lot in vanilla dating. You can pretend to like the same hobbies. You can ignore the fact that your values don't quite line up. You can get by with just kind of surface level compatibility for a long, long time, but there's too much at stake in a power exchange. In BDSM, especially in 24/7 dynamics, you can't fake your way into fulfillment. If you're a submissive and you're faking good girl energy just to please your dom, that's going to backfire. If you're a dominant pretending to be in control when your life is secretly in chaos, those cracks are going to show. And I speak from past experience on that one. Power exchange doesn't tolerate pretense, because power, when it's real, reveals you. It doesn't matter how polished your protocol is, how kinky your play is, how good your scenes look on paper. If the people inside the relationship aren't telling the truth about who they are, what they need, and where they're at, it's all gonna fall apart. Or worse, it'll stay together, but rot from the inside out. Both of these things create tremendous suffering. Number 3, the structure of BDSM demands transparency. One of the most beautiful things about BDSM relationships, when done well, is that everything is on the table. Your desires, boundaries, rules, consequences, your limits, your daily structure, your emotional needs, sexual preferences, even spiritual beliefs. There's no hiding in the dark. There's no, oh, they'll figure it out eventually. There's no hoping that your partner reads your mind. The very nature of the dynamic requires that you say the hard things up front. You have to name your needs before they turn into resentment. You have to speak your truth before it gets buried in silence. And I'll be real with you, this kind of transparency is not easy. It's vulnerable and it's super scary. And if you grew up religious or in a home where open communication wasn't safe, it can feel almost impossible. But this is why I say that BDSM, when entered into mindfully, is a path to spiritual transformation, because it demands your honesty, and that honesty is what makes you free. Depth requires truth, not just intensity. Some people come into BDSM thinking it's going to fix their relationship, make it sexier, spicier, stronger. But the truth is, if you build kink on a foundation of dishonesty, you only accelerate the breakdown. You're not deepening your connection. You're just dressing up your disconnection in whatever kinks you decide upon and calling that love. And look, I get it. It's easy to get swept up in the ritual, the rules, the dynamics of control, but that isn't depth. Depth is created by truth. It's created when a sub says, I want to submit to you, but I'm scared I'll lose myself. Or when a dom says, I love leading, but sometimes I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. When both people stop performing and start revealing, that's when shit gets real. That's when it gets beautiful. That's when trust becomes the container and transformation becomes inevitable. You will never be more exposed than you are in a DS relationship. And that's not a bad thing, because when someone sees you fully, naked in body, soul, desire, and still chooses to love, lead, serve, and submit to you, that is holy ground. But to get there, you have to tell the truth. the whole truth. Not just what you think they want to hear. Not just the polished, safe version of your past, not the parts of you that look sexy in a scene. You have to let yourself be known. And that, my friends, is the beginning of true connection. BDSM relationships aren't for everyone, but for those of us who walk this path, we know the cost and the reward. Honesty isn't optional. It's sacred. It's erotic. It's what makes everything else possible. So if you're exploring power exchange, my challenge to you is this: don't hide. Not behind roles, not behind kink, not behind good girl or strong dom masks. Let yourself be seen. Let yourself be known. And then watch what happens when another soul says yes to all of that. Not just the parts that turn them on. If this message stirred something in you, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Or head over to fletchandspirit.love to learn more about the way I bring spirit and sensuality together in sacred power exchange. My name is Jeremy, and I hope you find freedom in the bondage you choose. See you next time.